Hello, everyone. My name is Kliment, and just a week ago, I've come back from Gaza, where we set up a 3D printing lab for prosthetics. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So let me tell you a bit about the Gaza Strip. So Gaza is a very small area and very narrowly populated. So it's about 3 times the size of Trieste, just the city, but about 10 times the population. And they have many, many problems. They have a power shortage, they have a fuel shortage, there's a blockade, so nobody can come in and go out. There's lots and lots of problems. But like you might be thinking, if there's so many problems, how can they have any kind of maker culture? And when I was there, the only thing I saw was maker culture. So the main feature of all the infrastructure there is resilience. So power goes out several times a day. And if power went out here, everything would shut down. Traffic would shut down, water would shut down, transport, absolutely everything would be completely shut down. But there, it happens several times a day, and life has to go on. So all the infrastructure is built around the possibility that it will fail all the time. And it works. Also, they managed to make a lot with very little resources. Now, because of the blockade, they cannot import raw materials, so absolutely everything gets recycled. So if we look at like the trash problem that we have here, there is no trash problem in Gaza at all because there is no place to put the trash. So everything, absolutely everything gets recycled. So you start with like trash collection, and then people go through the trash looking for different things. For example, somebody who is working with metals will hire people to go through the trash and look for metal. There is a recycling factory for plastics, which employs 9 people to go through the trash and look for polyethylene. And they wash it. Many years ago, there was a textile industry there, so they took the washing machines from the textile industry and they use it to wash the trash, and then grind it and cover it, and it gets turned into irrigation pipes, water pipes. So all the water pipes in Gaza are locally made from trash. Yeah, the transport infrastructure is actually very impressive because this is something I would very much wish to have here. If you want to go somewhere, you go out and stand on the side of the road, and whoever has place in their car will slow down a bit, and you shout at them where you want to go, and if they're going the same way, they'll take you. In this way, the occupancy of vehicles is higher than anywhere in the world, so they can transport more people with less cars and less fuel than anywhere in the world. So why aren't we doing this? On my way here, I spent 50 minutes waiting in a train station for the next train, while during this time, maybe 4,000 cars went in the direction I was going. So why can't we somehow manage to get our transport infrastructure to the same level? So the way engineering works there is actually very interesting, because normally in countries that have problems like this, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, you have countries where, of course, there's zero resources, there's zero infrastructure, but also you have no education, you have no advanced engineering. Whereas in Gaza, because it was cut off while it was actually fairly developed, you have very high level of education, very high engineering knowledge, but no resources. So it's very similar to what would happen if you were to take, say, a medium-sized city in Italy and just completely cut it off from the world. So you start thinking about how can you work with the materials that are already there. For example, it's very easy to get old computer parts. So there are engineering agencies that design electronics using only the parts that you can find on old motherboards. So they take them apart, they harvest every component, and they reuse them in all kinds of things. There is now a 3D printing community in Gaza, which I'm happy to have helped set up. We are using it to print prosthetics, but of course other people are using it to print whatever they need. And it's actually very interesting because the open source 3D printing community is a very good fit for the way that people there do things naturally. So I was talking with one of the people there who are working on 3D printing, and we were talking about why one of the parts in our RepRap was 3D printed when it's possible to buy a part that does the same thing. So he asked me okay, if you're in Europe and you have access to all these parts, so why do you print this? Why don't you just buy one? Why do you make it the Gazan way? And I said, the Gazan way is the way of being independent of any kind of production technology. So if you can make something yourself, then you don't depend on anyone else. And actually, we should be learning from the way they are doing things, because if we were to implement this kind of trash management, this kind of transport infrastructure, this kind of water management, power management, we would not have any of our ecological problems. We would not have a waste problem in the Pacific if we were to recycle 100% of our waste. We would not have a CO2 problem if we had the car occupancy that they have. We would not have an energy problem and a water problem if we were using the same techniques that they have for reducing their usage. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that we have to live in a war zone, but I think it's important that we can actually learn from the people who were forced to, just to survive, to reduce their ecological footprint. We can do the same here without having to be in a war zone, and it will bring us countless benefits. So people ask me, when I go there, people ask me, why do you come here? And I tell them, I come here because I want to learn from you, because you are so far ahead of us in some things that you cannot even imagine that there is a difference. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Do you think if the war will stop, this is the dream of all of us, they will keep the style?
It's very difficult to say. So I think because it's developed as a kind of infrastructure in there, of course some of the advantages will go back. Like, for example, there was before the war, there was a lot of air conditioning, and now there's zero air conditioning because there's no power to use it. So of course some of that will come back, but they have proven that it is possible to run a functioning society on much less energy, much less water, much less fuel than anybody thought possible. So any other society with the same kind of resources has gone extinct. Nobody has survived under these conditions before. So they have proven it's possible, and I think we can keep the knowledge, even if it goes back to some degree. I think we can keep the knowledge that has been generated as a result. Okay, that's it for me. And just some shameless advertising. I'm doing an SMD assembly workshop right after this talk. So if you want to come, it's at the Science Fab Lab.